Hey everyone, and welcome to 1.21 Gigawatts. I am Peter, that is Connor, and this is our weekly movie news show. We of course cover the news. We talk about new movie news, castings, new movies that have been greenlit, but also, of course, we work our way through the week's trailers. We pick our favourite trailer of the week. We have a horror movie news section, we have a comic book movie news section, we look at the weekend's box office. That's kind of the gist of the show. Then at the end of the show, we'll bring up any movies we watched this week that wasn't for review purposes, because there's no point in talking about them again when we're going to review them, or we have already reviewed them. So that's what we do. That is what this show is in a nutshell. And this might be a shorter episode than we have had recently.
Oh, okay.
Maybe. I don't know. There's a lot of trailers, but the news as a whole feels a little bit lighter, but maybe... Every time I predict that, though, it ends up being just as long, if not longer, than...
It is. Is this just there wasn't as much news, or are you being a bit more slashy with what you're taking?
I was a bit slashy. I feel like there was not as much big stuff. I feel like there was not... last week there was clear 2 or 3, these are the headlines of the week. Yeah. Whereas this week I feel like it's just a lot of smaller things. Not necessarily fairly interesting in some cases, but not necessarily the bigger stuff that's going to catch the headlines as much. But hey, so we'll start with last weekend's box office, as we always do. I did note down our guesses for what was number 1 and number 2 between Black Panther and Tomb Raider and what they would make. So here was what the guesses were last week. So, you guessed that Black Panther would make 28 million, and it's, what, 5th weekend? Or 6th?
I'm not sure now.
My window's too small. 5th, yes, 5th weekend.
Yeah, I stand by that as a plausible guess.
You guessed 28 million for that, and you guessed 43 million for Tomb Raider. I guessed 25 million for Black Panther and 24 million for Tomb Raider. So we had those swapped around. I had Black Panther still at number 1, you had Tomb Raider at number 1. So what ended up, Black Panther was indeed number 1 again for its 5th week in a row. Yeah. 26.6 million, which... puts it...
What did you say? What did I say again?
I said 25 and you said 28. So I won that?
I don't know. Yeah? Just about, I think.
Well, no, it's exactly halfway, I guess. But... I mean, I win overall because I got Black Panther being number 1, but then in the amount it's actually half. I guess I need to go more specific. It was 26.65, which I guess puts it closer to you.
That's kind of a hollow victory, isn't it?
Yeah. But you did say that Tomb Raider was going to make 43 million, and I said 24. The actual amount for Tomb Raider in a really bad opening weekend was 23.6, so I was really close on that. I actually...
I remember saying at the time I'm being really optimistic because they were pushing a big marketing campaign. I thought maybe it'll pay off.
Yeah, so that was number 2, obviously, with 23.6 million. So who wins for the week? I won the amount on Tomb Raider. You won the amount on Black Panther, but I got
you got the order right.
So I guess I won overall. Okay, I'll take the victory.
Yeah, I'll give you that one. Just out of interest, I heard Tomb Raider did a lot better internationally.
Well, you know, I always go to the worldwide in a second for the bigger.
All right, fine.
The bigger movies. Black Panther. Before we get to Tomb Raider, Black Panther is now on 1,207,000,000. So that is neatly get in there. It should probably be eclipsing, or if it hasn't already eclipsed, Iron Man 3 worldwide. Let me just have a quick peek there, and
it's got to be close.
We'll see. Down to worldwide. It hasn't just yet. It's got 7 more million to go, and then it's crossed.
So next week.
Yeah, Iron Man 3 will be crossed worldwide for sure. Then the next hurdle is number 2 in the worldwide chart for Marvel is Avengers: Age of Ultron with 1.4 billion. So it could conceivably scrape to that, but it will be close.
It could, but it's not a guarantee by any means. Yeah,
but it could do it, which would be really impressive if it did.
Yeah.
And then we'll have fun guessing not Age of Ultron, Infinity War when that gets close.
Oh, that's going to be a wild guess though, isn't it? Let's be honest.
Oh yeah, we'll be breaking the ceiling. We'll be like, oh, this might break a record. So there's
going to be wild stabs.
But yeah, so Tomb Raider. So obviously we see just under 24 million for the box office for the domestic weekend, and it's like, oh, okay, right. So chances of a sequel are looking pretty much dead. However, it did actually a bit better internationally. China specifically had a pretty strong opening weekend for Tomb Raider. So it's actually, despite the really poor domestic performance, it's actually at 163.9 million
Which is
worldwide.
pretty respectable.
Which is not too bad. I mean, it had a budget of 94 million. So I think it has to get to about 200 at least before it's starting to be into the profit margin.
Yeah, but if that's one weekend, I think it's safe.
Yeah. Is that enough to fund a sequel, though? I mean, because just getting a bit of a profit's not enough to fund a sequel.
It's not. It's not.
Because typically they'll expect... I mean, they can grow, of course. They hope they'll grow and they'll get bigger with each movie. But, often it won't. Often it'll go the other way.
It's true. And I think this is notably lower than the last attempts at the Tomb Raider movies.
Is it? I don't know.
I believe so. At least domestically, I'm sure it is by quite a significant margin.
I'm
not sure about internationally. I could be wrong on that one, admittedly.
You're probably right, just based on the totals. Where's the opening weekend? That was more than Cradle of Life. A couple of million more than Cradle of Life. The first Tomb Raider movie did do 47 its opening weekend, so it has reduced by about half for that. So that kind of sucks. That said though, it's already outgrossed worldwide for Cradle of Life. It's already beat that for its entire lifetime worldwide amount. Now, admittedly, that movie kind of killed the franchise.
Yeah, so it's not a positive.
So that's not a super positive. That said, the worldwide for the first Tomb Raider was 274 million. That is not out of the question to beat.
No, I think 300's a given where it is now. 300 over its life is, pretty reasonable expectation.
It's possible. And honestly, I think that's the benchmark. I think if it doesn't hit 300, there's no way in hell you're getting a sequel. No way in hell.
I agree.
If it's less than 300, it's not happening, it's dead. If it's over 300, kind of like, funnily enough, the first Pacific Rim, we'll be guessing for the second one in a bit, but the first Pacific Rim did not do that well domestically. However, it did do over 300 million worldwide, which is kind of what meant that it could get a sequel, and that just barely got one. So it could be a similar case to that if it does get one, but it is definitely, it's on the bubble. To use a TV term, it's on the bubble.
It is. I think it's got more of a chance than something like Pacific Rim in the sense that, okay, it's a brand people can recognize already, so it's got something going for it extra, and they might want to further that.
And arguably, it's a cheaper movie to make.
Yeah, probably is. I'll be shocked if it's not.
Probably. So that's number 1 and 2, Black Panther and Tomb Raider. Number 3, I Can Only Imagine, with 17.1 million. Number 4 is A Wrinkle in Time, and its second weekend with 16.2 million. What's that at world? Because that's disappointing everyone, I think. The amount that's making is quite low. Yeah, that's only at 76 worldwide.
Oof, after 2 weeks, that's not great for that movie.
No, that has definitely kind of bombed, based on what... Because I was hearing people with... Not necessarily insiders, but I was hearing people have extreme expectations, like thinking that was going to be the next huge thing, like one of Disney's live action movies, where it would do really well in that kind of.
No, you're right.
sector.
It's funny though. Disney's live action movies have a history of being either really good or just flopping.
Number 5 is Love, Simon, with 11.7 million. Number 6, is Game Night with 5.6 million. Number 7 is Peter Rabbit with 5.2 million. Number 8 is Strangers Pray at Night with 4.7 million. Number 9 is Red Sparrow with 4.5 million. And number 10 is Death Wish with 3.3 million. So bye-bye to that. And in case you're curious, Jumanji Welcome to the Jungle is still at number 12 with 1.6 million.
That's not bad.
Jumanji's still trickling in a little bit.
That came out in December.
It did. It's at 942 million.
What cinemas are still showing that?
I can tell you.
It's clearly still making them money, but Christ.
Domestically, 1,556 screens.
That's not an insignificant amount.
No. 600 less than the previous week. I like the box office mojo tells me all this. This is really handy analytics. For comparison's sake, Tomb Raider and Black Panther for this weekend. It's actually impressive that Black Panther's still on this many. But Tomb Raider and Black Panther this past weekend, were both at 3,800 screens, give or take a dozen.
That sounds about right. But, is 1,000 still, like 3 full months after it's released, is quite a lot.
Yeah. I think it'll be very situational. I think there'll be some places where they get a lot of kid traffic that maybe still have it on, and there'll be other places where they've got less screens, so that'll be gone already. So, let's move on to news then. The comic book movie news section is very small. We have one small thing that's not even really news, but it's a kind of a confirmation of something we all expected. Chris Evans is basically saying that he has no plans to continue with Marvel movies after Avengers 4, whatever that ends up being called.
I'm not shocked at all.
Not shocked at all. I'll be honest, I'm kind of half expecting both him and Tony to be dead by the end of the fourth movie. I think one of them's going to die at the end of Infinity War, and then the other one will go out a hero at the end of the fourth one.
Yeah, quite possibly. That wouldn't be surprising at all.
Unless like Robert Downey Jr. is kind of in this place where he's happy to keep maybe not do Iron Man movies, but keep showing up for Avengers movies as long as they keep paying him. Maybe they'll still keep him around. But assuming that he eventually wants to leave as well, despite all the money he's making, I feel like killing him during.
I feel like if not, even if not the Avengers movies, he'll just pop up here. He's kind of, in a weird way, in the same way how he played in Spider-Man. He's kind of become the Nick Fury. Like, he can just kind of pop up here or there, do a little thing, give him some info, kind of on his way again. It's an easy way to keep him around.
Yeah. My concern, though, is doing that, if he's not going to be there forever, and by forever I just mean, for foreseeable future, is that if they do decide to then do the dramatic death later on, when he's
loses its impact.
It loses its impact because he's been in this small role. It'll be like killing Coulson again, as opposed to actually feeling like the big death of one of the main Avengers. I feel like if they want to have that impact, they need to do it in the next two movies. Either 3 or 4, whatever one.
Honestly,
fits.
Given that everyone's expecting Cap to be the one to go out in this one, I'm kind of banking on Tony's the one going here.
Yeah, they'll rebond just before, right? Maybe as Tony's dying, he'll say sorry, and Cap will say sorry, and they'll they'll have that moment. Either as he's dying or just before he dies, they'll have that moment, and then it's like, okay, we need to take this asshole down next movie. But I'm wondering, because it's funny, they keep saying it's not that much of a two-parter, but I'm like, I'm still expecting Empire Strikes Back ending. I'm still expecting, like, we're all screwed at the end. Like, it's not a happy ending. I'm still expecting that in some capacity. But
Me too.
We'll see.
But maybe they'll shock us.
Actually, I heard some theories this week that maybe Thanos isn't in this one as much as we all think. That he's more for, and that it's actually all of his almost all of his Steppenwolves, for lack of a better term, that are kind of the villains for most of this until Thanos shows up with the gauntlet at the end.
I mean, maybe.
I don't know. I can see it because I think of the trailers and I'm like, yeah, we only see like a few scenes of them. It's not like we see tons of different locations or like.
No, it depends. I mean, that's the thing because they've got so many characters that they're trying to show in every trailer.
Yeah,
there's only so much of him they can share, right?
I don't know. I could be completely wrong. It could just be he's there for a lot of it. And
I have no idea.
But hey, not will be long until we find out. So yeah, so again, not really news, but we kind of expected that anyway.
Yeah.
Because remember, we all talked about how they extended the contract for one movie when they decided they wanted to do it like a two-parter.
Yeah, and they've done. I mean, I think the reason that Chris Evans is saying that now is because of the reshoots. That he's like, after these reshoots, I'm done. So.
Yep. So we'll got a general news. So
before we do that, we didn't guess for Pacific Rim.
Oh, you're right, we didn't. Box office. Let's guess yes. Things. Okay, I think to an extent we can guess a few things here. So Pacific Rim.
Yeah.
Pacific Rim 2. Do you think it's number 1? Do you think, in its 6th weekend, it can beat Black Panther?
I do. I'm confident this time.
Right, I kind of agree with that.
We were just looking at this. The first one did around 30, right?
37. I am going to guess 29 million.
Okay.
What are you going with?
I'll skew up just because sequels. I'll go to last one was 37. I'll skew up to 40.
All right.
Just slightly an increase, barely once you count for inflation.
But... Now, so we're thinking Black Panther's number 2.
Yeah, definitely.
Number 2. All right, I shall guess for Black Panther 17 million.
It was 26, right, this week?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. 17 does sound in the right ballpark, to be honest, but I don't want to be exact with you. So, yeah, I was higher last time. We'll split the difference again. I'll go 19.
All right, 19. I think Tomb Raider. I don't actually want to say that'll be number 3. I think it'll be 3 out of these 3. I could see it being lower. But I am going to guess for that as well. I think I'm going to jump in here with a guess, unfortunately, of about 9 million.
I'd say maybe 11.
Alright, so we got guesses. We got guesses for next week. We'll come back to them. I've noted them all down, and we can look at them next week. I'll drag that to the top so they're in order of amounts. So we've guessed the same order, but we're pretty concurrent on the order there.
Yeah. And we're kind of not, other than Pacific Rim where I've kind of shot up a bit, the other ones were kind of more or less in agreement on the range, if not the exact figure.
So let's move on. Let's move on to general news. First up, Tessa Thompson, who's been showing up all over the place recently. I
think we say that every week on this show now.
Westworld, of course, she's in Thor Ragnarok. She was in Annihilation. She's in other things. She was in another trailer we saw last week. The one with the white voices comedy.
Yeah, she was in the prison guard one.
That's right, the week before. That's right. But now she's in talks to reunite with Chris Hemsworth because she's in talks to join the Men in Black movie, the spin-off.
Oh, okay.
Potential. Yeah, that is literally the entire news. There's nothing else to go on. It's just that she's in talks to join that movie.
That's true. I did see this, and there was talk about the movie will actually be not the buddy cop pairing, but more of an ensemble.
That was the one other point I was about to bring up, was the ensemble part. But that's it. That's the extent of it.
I mean, I'm down for that. I mean, I like the premise of Men in Black in general. I think it's perfectly fun. I like both of these in that sort of comedy, action-y sort of role.
I think there's potential for this to eclipse the previous films, because as much as I like Will Smith and Tommy Lee Jones, I don't think even the first one of those has aged that well. They feel really oddly dated. I think there's potential for this to have a bit of a different sheen of paint, nice, ensemble cast.
I can see it being pretty good.
But it's also a Sony movie, and Sony movies have a tendency to suck, so...
they do.
So, moving on, Disney has hired Charlie Bean, who directed the Ninjago movie. Or is directing Ninjago. Is that out yet? Is that out?
I think that came out last year, didn't it? The Lego one.
Yeah, Lego Ninjago. Hence the name Ninjago.
Yeah, I think that was last year.
Well, that's the weird thing about that movie, is that I knew they were making it. I had no idea if it was already a thing, if it was coming next year, if it was coming... I had no idea if it already happened yet.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure.
So, yeah, but he's going to helm the live-action CG adaptation, slash CG. Because that sounded really stupid the way I said that. Live-action CG hybrid, we'll say. Adaptation of Lady and the Tramp.
Of course they're doing Lady and the Tramp.
Which is slated to come to the streaming service in fall 2019. Yeah.
Oh, very interesting.
Yeah. The original opened in 1955 and followed an upper-middle-class American Cocker Spaniel named Lady, who meets a street-smart downtown stray mongrel called Tramp. That was really lazy character naming. Lady and Tramp.
Look, just carry on.
And the
I'll not have you shit over Lady and the Tramp.
And the two embark on many romantic adventures, including the iconic spaghetti dinner scene. That's not really a description of the plot. That's just here's the scene that everyone recognises from that movie. And I'm sure they'll do it again with the CG dogs.
Undoubtedly.
I've never seen the movie. I have no attachment to it. I don't give a shit.
What's wrong with you? I love that movie.
You have not seen so many staples of everyone else's childhood, and you're going to criticise me for one Disney movie.
It's quite a big Disney movie.
Yeah.
It's a classic. Come on.
I don't really care. It's fine.
All right. Fine.
I'm not really excited about all the live-action remakes of all these things.
I don't know. None of them so far have been bad.
No, I mean, Jungle Book was pretty solid. I'll give that some.
I like Jungle Book a lot.
Points. But most of the other ones I've not even seen because I just don't care.
Well, I mean, Beauty and the Beast was kind of a bit redundant in some ways because it suffered from actually being a musical still, whereas the music parts weren't quite as good because they were less skilled singers, unfortunately. But the actual film was fine.
Should have been a horror movie.
All right, fine. But The Cinderella one was pretty good. I like that one quite a bit. It's not as good as Jungle Book. That's still the benchmark, but
it should have been a horror movie, and it should have been directed by David Cronenberg. It's a full-on body horror thing where they're all terrified that they've turned into these things, and the beast is like grotesque and is like.
To be fair, I agree that should be done at some point. The idea sells itself, doesn't it?
And I don't know what you do to was it Belle? Is that the character's name?
Yeah.
I don't know what you do to her to make her a bit more gritty, but I don't know. She's a prostitute or something. I don't know. Make it proper. Yeah.
Go all in.
Nasty and gritty. Yeah.
I don't know. That's fair. I don't know. I'm kind of somewhat more positive on these live action CG things they used to be. Like everything I'm hearing about the Lion King one. It's
got a great voice cast. Here's the thing though. I get the technology's far enough that we can kind of do this, and obviously Jungle Book looked really good. The animals look really good, but I still have to kind of laugh at the phrase "a live action Lion King." There's not going to be a single character in that movie that's not CG.
No, it's not.
I mean, like, are they actually going to go out and shoot the backgrounds so that at least that's live action? They might.
I mean, Jungle Book was mostly backlot sets that they built.
Yeah, like, so, I mean, if they do that, then okay, the plates are live action, so they're at least in a real world. But, I mean...
Yeah, otherwise it's just animated.
Otherwise it is just an animated movie, yeah.
So it has to be. Surely.
You say that. They would absolutely just do this in CG and call it live action because it's realistic, like, CG.
Yeah, they could. That would be bullshit. I hope they don't do that.
Yeah.
I mean, I say maybe it'll be redundant. Jungle Book proved its worth, I think, as to being something different.
Because to me, that's the selling point. Because if at least the vistas are, because Lion King has a lot of big sunsets and big tropical locales. I feel like that's the selling point of doing a live action version, if there is any at all. I still think it's debatable, given that none of the characters are going to be live action. But
no, I think it all depends on what this does to justify itself as its own version. Like I said, Jungle Book went out of its way to be different enough from the original to be its own thing. So I think that's the key. You've got to do something different with the idea.
I'll admit there's an element of cynicism with me here, just because every time they announce one, I'm like, okay, Disney's just... Disney, I feel like, don't make new things anymore. They just, like, it's another Marvel movie, it's another Star Wars movie, it's one of their old animated things.
It's true. But I feel like every time they did try in the past decade, it just did shite.
Make better movies. I mean, that's basically my advice.
Maybe, but I know there were things that people liked that just suffered.
John Carter wasn't that good. People need to stop being delusional.
People like that movie a lot.
It was perfectly mediocre. It wasn't terrible. It was perfectly in the middle. Okay.
All right.
Mosey's face isn't that charismatic. All right.
No, it's A Wrinkle in Time is Disney, right? They're the ones doing that.
Is it? I don't know.
I feel like it is. Maybe I'm misremembering, but I thought it was them.
Anyway, let's move on. Because
that is Disney, so they're trying. People just don't want to see it. Clearly,
hey, it's not an adaptation.
It's an adaptation, sure, but it's not one that's been done before.
Anyway, so next up, here's something you weren't expecting this week. All 5 original Spice Girls have signed on to voice versions of themselves in an animated superhero movie.
Yeah, I saw this the other day, and I couldn't believe it. I mean,
apparently they're shopping the concept around at various studios. No details on plot or anything have been named.
I can't believe this is how the Spice Girls reunion is happening.
Superhero movie.
I'm kind of down for all the awful cheese it's going to be.
I have horrible memories of seeing the actual movie they did. Well, I say actual as if it was really a movie. It wasn't really a movie, but they called it a movie.
They did, but I have fond memories of listening to the Spice Girls as a child. So
didn't see Back to the Future, Predator growing up, but fond memories of listening to Spice Girls.
Look, I'm talking like when I was like 4. You were not watching Predator at 4.
Wasn't far off.
All right, maybe like 6 to 8, but not 4.
Still. But I was still watching proper. I was watching Jurassic Park at 4.
So was I, probably, to be honest. That sounds about right. No, I have not that many memories of being 4. Got a handful.
Yeah, that's because you weren't created till you were 6. It was a blood pact with Satan.
I don't know. I'm pretty good from 5.
Anyway, moving on. So yeah, there's a Space Girls animated superhero movie apparently in the works. We'll see if that actually happens. Anyway, so next up, the best-selling novel A Court of Thorns and Roses, which is a young adult fantasy novel by Sarah J. Maas, is got to the big screen. German producer Constantin Films picked up the rights. It is a Beauty and the Beast-esque. See that coming up after all that rambling about it. So it's a Beauty and the Beast-esque fantasy drama. It tells the story of Fairy. That's spelled F-E-Y-R-E.
F-E...
Y-R-E.
Y-R-E. Oh, I don't like that.
Yeah, because when I first saw it, I went, oh, Fairy. Oh, it's just Fairy. It's just Fairy with a weird spelling. Who finds herself entwined with the fairies after... that's another thing. It's like a really punny name because it's going to involve actual fairies.
The fairies spelt like just, regular fairies.
Yeah, normal fairies, yeah. Who finds herself entwined with the fairies after unknowingly killing one. When the 19-year-old huntress kills a wolf in the woods, a beast-like creature arrives to demand retribution for it. Dragged to a treacherous magical land she only knows about from legends, Fairy discovers that her captor is not an animal, but Tamlin, one of the lethal immortal fairies who once ruled their world. Fairy must find a way to stop it, or doom Tamlin and his world forever. Yeah,
I've got no interest in this.
Yep, I'm good. Go make your fantasy movie for the teens. But I'm good.
Yep.
I'm good. So next up, Studio 8 has just bought another project. They've acquired the action thriller Champion, which is about 2 American brothers wrongly sentenced to prison in Thailand, who are then forced to compete in a Thai boxing tournament for a chance to win their freedom. And they're looking for directors right now.
Okay.
If they go like sort of fun kickboxer-esque route, I could see that being fun. But I mean,
yeah, it doesn't grab me just based on that. Though.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair. I mean, if they had someone like Van Damme attached, I'd be like, oh, what's...
Yeah, if I knew what to expect from it.
Yeah, as it is, it could be like this ultra serious thing, and really like, oh, who wins this tournament gets to leave prison.
Yeah.
Maybe
sounds like it's probably going to be more serious than it should be.
More so, yeah. It's such a silly premise that they're going to the winner gets to go free. Prisons don't really work. Maybe Thailand's got some weird systems I don't know about. But
can never be certain.
But hey, so next up, Megan Fox and Josh Duhamel are reuniting because they were both in Transformers. In case you're wondering what they're reuniting from, he was the soldier dude in Transformers.
Oh yeah, that's real memorable.
The main soldier dude.
I know who you're on about, but I'm just saying, the soldier dude.
They are reuniting for a family film called Think Like a Dog, written and directed by Gil Junger, who did 10 Things I Hate About You of all time. I wonder what he's been doing recently. That was a while ago. But I think he also directed Black Knight. Not to be confused with The Dark Knight, of course. This is the Martin Lawrence film where he goes back in time and becomes a knight. Not very good. Ignore it, it's fine. So the film, which hails from Double Digit International, follows 12-year-old tech prodigy Oliver, whose science fair experiment goes awry and creates a telepathic connection between himself and his dog, Henry. The connection brings them even closer as the duo join forces to comically overcome the complications of family and school. They're the parents.
Sounds like a kid's movie.
It does. Also, we're at a point there where Megan Fox is the mum. I mean, obviously, it's a mum to probably a 12-year-old.
Yeah, it said.
But still, she's a mum now.
I mean, yeah, she has kids, right?
I think she does. To be fair, but I'm just meaning it was only 10 years ago that she was the hot new actress who everyone was putting posters up.
Was that only 10 years ago?
Well, 11 now. 2007 was Transformers, so I'd say that was her breakout into the
definitely
mainstream. She had. I think she's an extra in Bad Boys 2.
Oh yeah, I'm sure she was. People are always around before those things.
Oh yeah. She was in a TV show as well.
Yeah, but that was definitely her mainstream break.
I've never actually went back and caught her cameo in Bad. I just a bit of trivia that I remember.
for some reason.
She's in like a nightclub scene. She's dancing around.
Sounds like what I expect from her, to be honest.
That's like a proper.
No, at the time, it's like that's kind of the role she was doing.
Oh yeah, we don't give a shit about this, obviously, but I thought it was amusing enough premise to mention. Next up, Brandon Flynn from 13 Reasons Why, Julia Goldani Tellez from The Affair, and Ki Hong Lee, who's been in the Maze Runner movies. They're set to lead a film called Looks the Kill, which is an interesting title. It's phrased kind of bizarrely. Looks the Kill. I kind of like it, just based on the odd phrasing of it. It is the directorial debut from Kellen Moore, who also penned the script. It starts shooting this month. It comes from American High. The film tells the story of 16-year-old Max Richards, who is forced to live with a lethally attractive face. That doesn't tell us a lot, but it's just weird enough that I'm kind of intrigued.
He's a Medusa.
I assumed it was the actress who was the lethally attractive face, but I mean, it could be a guy, yeah.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah.
Either way.
I assumed it was someone he'd be attractive to, and therefore that's why it's lethal. I mean, he could be gay, I suppose. I mean, that's some assumptions I'm making, but...
Okay, that's fair.
I think I expected, this is going to appeal to teenagers, so you're going to have the sexy girl, and...
That's true, that's true.
That said, though, I actually have no idea what the tone or the genre of this is. Is this a comedy? Because if it's a comedy, yeah, it's the sexy girl, and it's like, like... teens into her, but it's lethal. If it's like a horror movie where it's actually really dangerous and creepy,
it's essentially a Johnny Sorrow movie.
Yeah, or maybe is it like more of a gay drama thing where, I mean, I guess it could still be a horror movie or a comedy, but like, that could be another type. Like, I actually have no idea. This could be almost anything.
Yeah,
this could be.
I don't want to say I'm excited for it or I'm disinterested in it, because there's a lot of potential depending on what it does.
But it could be a really silly, light-hearted movie. It could be a really serious, dark movie. Could be anything in between. It could be any of those things. I have no idea.
It's true. I think, when they give out these descriptions, they need to start giving me a sense of tone. I feel like often that they give me a bit of plot, but I'm like, yeah, but what is it?
Sometimes they'll say, "Oh, it's in the vein of this," or in the
right. And I appreciate when they do that, because I know what to picture. Then I know I know what you're going for. Whereas here, I'm like, right, okay, I can see your idea, but what is it?
Well, moving on then. So French director Pierre Morel, who directed the first Taken movie, if that's his claim to fame, is going to direct a sci-fi thriller called The New Mrs. Keller for Lakeshore Entertainment. Danish actor Claes Bang, if I'm saying that remotely right, star of the Oscar-nominated film The Square, is attached to star in it as the male lead. It's written by Mark Hogan. Here's the premise. Set in the near future, smart, beautiful and sophisticated Vera Keller is far more than she seems as she ensnares her husband, prominent surgeon Dr. David Keller, in a tense deception. Virtual reality intertwines with reality as David's world unravels. I'm still not sure what that's about, if I'm honest. They mentioned virtual reality. They mentioned she's going to kind of, like... If not betray him, then, like...
It kind of sounds almost evil seductress.
Yeah. But it's hard to tell exactly. It tells us some key words there, but it's still very vague as to actually what the driving force of the plot is.
It is. But I'm liking what I'm hearing.
Yeah. I mean, First Taken's a decent movie. I don't know if I'd be excited about his future work necessarily based on that, but...
No, I like that movie a fair bit. Probably more than I should, to be fair. But I think the direction's competent enough that with a premise that I'm really into, it could be a really good movie.
I'm just going to use this opportunity to once again reaffirm that they should make a fourth Taken, and it should be called Taken 4 Granted.
Yep, every time.
Every time, because it's too good an idea not to use. Do it. Damn it, do it. Anyway, next up, Netflix has teamed up with Scott Free on an adaptation of Susanna Jones' novel, The Earthquake Bird. We've got two people in talks to cast. That is Riley Keough and Alicia Vikander, of course, who was just in Tomb Raider. So Wash Westmoreland, that's how you say that. There's a lot of parts to that name. I just had to think about what the rhythm of saying it was. Westmoreland. Then Wash. That sounds familiar. Who's named Wash?
I don't know. It's a very unconventional name. I don't think anyone's ever used it before.
No, I think Joss Whedon used it in Firefly.
We're sure it's not ringing a bell.
I think it did. I think it did. Well, he had a thing for unconventional names. You know, in that show alone, you had, you know, Book. You know, you had a guy named Jane. You know, and then in other shows he had you know a woman named Fred, and you know Gunn was a name, and so on. Character named Angel, who of course originated in the hit television show Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Buffy itself,
another unconventional name.
Also unconventional, yes.
I was just waiting for you to get to that one.
I was building up.
Yeah. You're taking too much time. You're dragging it out. You're losing the snappiness of your punch.
There wasn't a good place to put it in this. At least I don't remember them in a good place later on. Maybe I'll be wrong and there'll be a nice neat.
And you'll be kicking yourself, going, "Damn it! I should have taken this one. It would have had far more impact if I'd saved it for the good moment."
I have no shame in taking both.
No, you don't.
So, Wash Westmoreland wrote and is going to write and direct. So, The Earthquake Bird is a Tokyo-set, female-driven noir thriller that tells the story of a young female expat who is suspected of murder after her friend goes missing in the wake of a tumultuous love triangle with a handsome local photographer. It was originally going to be Amazon, but it's now Netflix have nabbed it. So that's kind of funny. It's you know, Netflix nabbing something from Amazon just because they're kind of in direct competition. So
they are.
So it's going to start production in May. I'm going to assume the local photographer that's the other part of the love triangle is Japanese, because both the actresses here they've got in talks are both white. So
I would assume so.
You would imagine so. Otherwise, it's going to be an oddly very white movie set in Japan.
Yeah, no, I would have thought so. I mean, the one definitely makes sense. She's an expat, so that kind of is in her character.
Oh yeah, sure. But hey, so that's the Earthquake Bird. I'm not against the movie, but it doesn't necessarily thrill me from concept. I like the candor, and I like the idea of a Tokyo noir, but all coming from this love triangle is kind of just like it's not exciting.
I'm gonna need a trailer.
Spark. Yeah, I need style. What's the style? I need the style.
Tokyo noir is enough that I'm like, okay, I will give you a trailer to you know, give me a chance.
What's the style though? That's what I need to know. I don't know why I'm doing the Italian food thing.
No, I don't know. Well, where's that come from? Is that what you just associate with style? Italian food.
I guess.
Style.
I guess I do. Yeah, it's got style. Also, someone photoshopped the Alien and Covenant poster. You know, it's the face, the alien's head, with just two hands doing that at the side, and it just said Italian instead of Alien at the top, and I thought that was really funny.
Yeah, I like it.
Alien, Italian. Alright, so next up, working titles optioned a slasher satire. I wasn't sure if to put this in the horror section or not. The reason why I'm not is I don't feel like it's a horror movie, right? It feels more like it's saying slasher because there's murders going on, but I don't necessarily think it sounds like it's going to be a horror movie. Because as a satire, for a start, it's called My Sister the Serial Killer. And it's based on a book. And the debut novel of Nigerian writer, Oinkin Braithwaite. I did okay there, that's not too bad. It follows a Nigerian woman whose younger sister has an inconvenient habit of killing her boyfriends. It's early days in the production and whatnot, but a screenwriter's not been attached yet, but Working Title loves the book, so they're working on it. Because it sounds more like a satirical comedy to me.
I agree.
The way it phrases that, an inconvenient habit of killing her boyfriends.
They say slasher, it's just because it's a serial killer, though.
Yeah, it's not a slasher movie satire, yeah.
No.
Honestly, that premise is enough.
Sounds kind of fun.
Yeah, I'm kind of into it. It's like, you need to stop this habit of killing your boyfriend, sis. Come on.
Yeah, God damn it, someone's going to catch on.
Yeah, so potential. I think it sounds interesting. Next up, Universal Pictures, in a competitive situation, have got the rights to Good Boys, a randy comedy vehicle for Jacob Tremblay, who's the kid from Room, in case you're just confused by that. So the script's by Lee Eisenberg and Gene Stupnitsky, Stupnitsky. The end was in a weirder place than I was expecting. And the duo's set to make their directorial debut, so they're going to direct it, and this is their first time doing that. Universal got the package, which came with a green light and a July production start with a budget in the 20 million range. So So Tremblay has proven himself to be a adorable screen presence with his first 2 films. This film puts him in a new terrain and it takes off the halo. The Good Boys is an R-rated comedy that follows a 12-year-old group of boys who skip school to embark on a day-long adventure fraught with comedic peril. That was the wrong inflection, I apologise. So apparently it's chasing kind of something that's in between Stand By Me and Superbad. Which is interesting. I like the idea of a group of kids getting into trouble, like, you know, stitching out in school and going on an adventure. I'm kind of that's the kind of thing I liked as a kid, so I'm kind of into that by its nature. It being R-rated is an interesting twist, especially just like people that age can't go see it.
Yeah, it's not aimed at them. It's aimed at, you know, people like us going, hey, remember when we did that as kids?
Yeah. So no, there could be potential there. It's called Good Boys, and I suspect that's an ironic title because I don't see them being actually good boys.
No. I'll be honest. I was slightly disappointed when you told me the premise after that. I was expecting a movie about dogs. I was expecting a doggo movie, and then I didn't get one.
You're making me think of all those memes now of like the dog on Tinder, and the girl says, "Oh, I like bad boys." Like, well, I'm out because I'm a good boy.
Exactly.
So anyway, that does take us on to trailers. Trailer talk, halfway through, mid-time trailers. And as always, there's a lot of these, and we'll see if I can remember what they all are without thinking too hard.
Yeah, we didn't go through them all right before like we normally do.
No. So first up, we had the full proper trailer for Deadpool 2. Because obviously the first one was like a teaser that had mostly non-movie footage in it, because it was Deadpool with the toys.
Yeah.
Having these fun. This was like, no, here's the plot of Deadpool 2, which is Cable's back in time to kill this kid, and Deadpool's going to save the day, and he builds a team of mutants, and even calls them X-Force, and there's some jokes about it, how it's derivative.
Yep.
Very meta, of course. In fact, my favourite line of the whole trailer was probably when he's saying he's putting the team together. It's like, oh, and they all need to be young enough so they can carry a franchise for another 10 to 15 years. that did crack me up. That was a funny line.
Honestly, I'll tell you what, the bit that cracked me up the most
go on.
Is one of the inserts. You know how like they always do from the studio that brought you?
Oh, yeah.
And it's always things that are kind of like, okay, I get the tone they're going for this movie, but it's kind of a stupid statement because it means nothing. And they went with 27 dresses and the devil wears Prada, and it killed me.
Yeah, and obviously the joke is it's nothing like those. That's the joke.
But it's playing back to how they marketed the first one, because if you recall, they did the dual marketing thing where they marketed it as a rom-com.
That's true, yeah, because it came out on Valentine's Day. That's right.
Yeah,
that's right, or around Valentine's. So they did the whole Valentine's thing. And people were trying to trick their girlfriends into go to see it because, hey, look, it's a Valentine's movie. It's this story about how this woman stands by her boyfriend who's got cancer. It's just this heartbreaking, emotional journey for Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
And who plays his girlfriend again, Connor?
Oh, God.
Yeah, Aldenara from Firefly, who I do like seeing, actually. It brings a smile to my face.
Yeah.
She has a really nice big warm smile, actually. It's hard not to melt a little bit when she does that big grin.
That's true.
But she's in there again. Deadpool's back. Obviously, you've got the blind old woman's back. His buddy's back. T.J. Miller plays him. What's he?
Yep.
Yeah. And you got everyone else. Negasonic Teenage Warhead. I think I got that name right, actually.
I think you did.
She's back. She's got a girlfriend in this one. Her girlfriend's the one with the whip thing.
Oh, right, okay.
Which I'll admit, I was like, ooh, electric whip thing. I was into that.
Yeah, you're into it.
And then Domino's there. I laughed at Domino's line about how I should have stayed in college. Which is like, oh, why am I involved in this shit?
Yeah.
The cab driver's back, which is, didn't need to bring him back, but that's cool.
Yeah. There's a little hint of Colossus in there.
Yeah. He was in the first one as well, so it makes sense. Yeah.
And there's a spinning in a Professor X wheelchair.
Do you know what's funny? Like, I enjoyed Deadpool, but like I didn't love it because I did think the plot was kind of whatever. But I did enjoy the meta humor of Deadpool, and I think I actually enjoyed the trailers for the first one more than I enjoyed watching the full movie. Because it was just it was just like, here's some of the best lines, and
it had a great marketing campaign.
And so I'm concerned it's going to be the same thing here. But I'll give it. The trailer did make me chuckle quite a few times. So
it's true.
We'll see.
I do love the first one, not as a good plot or anything like that, but as a good Monty Python-esque comedy movie.
The comedy's good. Here's the thing. It's kind of like with Thor Ragnarok, where I enjoyed the comedy in that as well. The first 2/3 of that I was really into. But then it had to do the third act where, okay, we're actually supposed to care about the fact that there's a big action scene now, and you know. And
yeah, but even during that, they're quipping jokes in Deadpool.
Oh, sure. But Deadpool's other problems were more that it was kind of all actually just one or two scenes that were kind of, it kept intercutting and going back to the same big scene. So it felt odd, like it wasn't doing much. And then the final act was kind of weak because the villain just was really, it was like generic British man.
Yeah, pretty much.
That was my problem with Deadpool. But it was funny and it did do some cool stuff. So here's hoping to is at least as fun, if not maybe a notch higher. And we'll see how that goes. So next up, we had a teaser trailer for Terminal. It definitely was teaser. There was not.
Yeah, I got very little of what this movie actually is.
This was all style and nothing else. I actually double checked before we started, just because I remember we talked about it, and I just wanted to go back and check what the plot they gave us were.
Yeah, they do give a description in the YouTube description of the plot.
It was basically, it's like one night, two assassins, and like a school teacher and someone else. It was like 5 or 6 people that the plot's going to involve, but that's all you kind of get.
Yeah, to just read it out.
Go on, read it out. Yeah, what's the specifics?
The movie follows 2 assassins with a sinister mission, a fatally ill teacher, an enigmatic janitor, a waitress with a double life. Yeah, murderous consequences unravel as their lives meet at the hands of a criminal mastermind wanting revenge.
Yeah, so I remember reading that description. I was like, okay, it's probably sounds like it's all one night, I imagine, with them all interlinking and all this teaser really is Margot Robbie, who's in the movie. Simon Pegg's in the movie as well, which is cool. And Margot Robbie seems to be the villain. She seems to be the mastermind because she's like the proper evil looking, and she's walking through this neon lighting. I will give it this though. I do love neon lighting, so I can't deny that I'm at least a little bit interested.
No, it's got a very very Alice in Wonderland. It talks about the tagline at the end is tumbling down the rabbit hole.
Yeah,
there's a few references throughout.
It's this neon kind of urban version of Wonderland, I guess. And yeah, well, I'm intrigued. Obviously, I like Robbie. I like Simon Pegg.
And Mike Myers is in there for some reason.
I mean, it's been a long time since I've liked anything Mike Myers has done, but I mean, we'll see.
Yeah.
I mean, I like the Wayne's World movies.
It was a long time ago, though.
Yeah. Austin Powers 1 and 2 were okay at the time. I don't know if they're going to... I don't know if I watch them as an adult, if I'm just going to be annoyed at them.
I think I just cringe.
Yeah. But Wayne's World 1 and 2, I do enjoy. But hey, so that's Terminal. So it's so interesting. Obviously, as always, these links to the trailers are all in the description, so you can check them out for yourself and report back in the comments as to what you think. Next up, we had a trailer for Action Point, and there's no quicker way to get me to turn away in another direction than showing me Johnny Knoxville, reminding me that Bad Grandpa was a thing, and showing me them do their stupid stunts and kind of a plot they've made up to kind of fit it into a movie.
Pretty much. I forgot about Bad Grandpa, but they immediately show the star of Jackass. I'm like, okay, I'm out.
Yeah,
that's like the first thing that you see when you put on the trailer.
I despise Bad Grandpa with every fibre of my being. I absolutely
I never saw that shite.
That garbage. And got into blows with Matt because Matt did kind of enjoy it. I hated it. I hate Jackass. I hate all of this shit. And this trailer was just them. It's like, back in the 60s or 70s, I ran a shitty little knockoff theme park and we did lots of weird stunts, and that's basically the plot of the movie. And I just, no, I'm good.
Yeah, no, I'm never going to watch this.
No. Alright, next up we had a trailer for a movie called Measure of a Man, which is about a kid over the summer who kind of gets bullied, and he ends up taking like a summer job with Donald Sutherland. And it seems like a sort of low-key, very laid-back, sort of coming-of-age summer, kind of funny dramedy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A bit coming-of-age.
Yeah. A lot of funny little beats, but very laid-back in its tone. It's not very... Which may be the right thing for it. It was a very laid-back trailer, though, for what it was, which I thought felt a little bit weird. It was a little bit lax. It felt like the sort of thing where I expect this to be like a... Like, Donald Sutherland sitting there outside in the sun, and I'm like, I expect that and other old people sitting around chairs, like, talking about some drama thing. Like, that's what I get from the music and stuff in this trailer. But I can't say it looked bad, though. Maybe
I chuckled a few times.
I think my criticism would be that I feel like it's maybe, okay, I've seen this kind of premise a lot before, so what does this do to separate it? And so far, I don't know what that is. Maybe the movie does have...
That's it. It even comes up saying, in the tradition of Wonder, Stand By Me, and Dirty Dancing. I'm like, okay, and I kind of know what this movie is.
Yeah, he's got a crush on a girl who's, kind of out of his league because he's a fat kid, and You can see that, it's going to be like a relationship. I guess that's where the dirty dancing part comes from.
I guess so.
Yeah. And it was kind of thing though, because when it showed me those names, I'm like, because you said earlier on, you kind of like when they give you like a in the vein of. I feel like though at this point with the trailer and like selling it on that to us as the audience, I'm like, well now you're just kind of telling me it's derivative of other things.
No, as I mean, I like it in a description when you're first telling me, like, you know, when you're first like essentially the pitch of the movie. But once there's a trailer, I can see what it is for myself. I don't need it then.
Yeah, sure.
If you've done your job properly with a trailer, that is.
Sure, don't tell. So, but I didn't look bad though. Certainly.
No, you got Judy Greer in there as well. I like her.
True. Yeah. This is the last time you'll see these. That's an Arrested Development reference for fans of that show. Moving on, we got a comedy called The Spy Who Dumped Me. Kate McKinnon and Mila Kunis. Mila Kunis' character is dating a spy played by Justin Theroux, or one might say an international assassin.
One might. or you could say an intergalactic.
What's that reference to?
His small role in a movie you despised from the end of last year.
Was he in Last Jedi?
Yeah, he was.
Okay. Well, I was making a quality reference to The Leftovers with Justin Theroux, and you had to go ruin it.
Yes, I did.
Well, I'll just reference Mute and start talking about shitty things there.
Because I like one of those movies.
Well, we both like Leftovers, which is why I picked that. It's a nice neutral pick.
It is, but I thought I can spin. You know, you mentioned Buffy every single bloody episode. I do Star Wars once a month.
Too much. One's too much. So.
Oh.
So because of that, she gets kind of carried in. Like the bad guys are after her. So her and her friend Kate. Well, I'm sure the character's called someone different, but her and Kate McKinnon. Basically, it's kind of like one of these things where they're thrown into the spy life and they're running and they're being goofy as they're trying to like drive cars and like get into action scenes and fire guns, and they're kind of terrible at it. And there's lots of wisecracking as they're getting like tortured and like, no, we'll just tell you everything. It's fine. And she like tells her a secret about Mila Kunis' character. Like she gets turned on by the minions. She searches them on my computer, and now I get weird adverts.
Yeah. And it's just the one minion apparently.
Just the one with the one eye.
Yeah.
Kinky.
I feel like I'm probably gonna hate this, but I kind of had fun with the trailer.
It looks like a typical comedy where I could see putting on in the background when it's on the home release. I mean, there's no way on earth I'd ever go in the theater to see this.
No, the only time I go is if it's just on while I'm there, and I'll double it up with something just because I'm there.
This is I'm collecting the news for the podcast for the movie or TV news this week. I'll have that playing maybe whilst I'm doing that. That is the level of interest I have in this.
No, I'm with you. I did appreciate the James Bond style opening sequence that they did.
Oh sure, with all the silhouettes of the two of them.
And, yeah. I did like that.
Yeah, that's fair. Honestly, it looks like a very typical comedy. If anything, I'm just relieved it's not Melissa McCarthy, because I feel like this would otherwise be a Melissa McCarthy movie. At the very least, I like both these actresses, but I can still see it being really, really mediocre. There's nothing about the trailer that makes me think, this will actually be good. It's just
it could be fun for an hour and a half.
Yeah, a couple of chuckles, but I don't know if it's actually going to be worth watching. But hey, so that's The Spy Who Dumped Me, of course a play on a James Bond title of The Spy Who Loved Me, I believe.
It is, yeah.
Of course, we were talking about Austin Powers earlier, so my mind went straight to The Spy Who Shagged Me.
Yeah.
But obviously that was also playing on the James Bond title. So next up, we had a trailer for The Debt Collector, which was about a guy who collected debt.
For the mob.
For the mob. And he had a partner, and there was action scenes. It looked pretty cheap. The acting was really bad. It said that, at the end it'll say who the star is. It'll come up in the text. It'll say, starring this guy. And I'm like, I have no idea who this guy is.
No, this was an incredibly forgettable trailer.
It was. I can barely remember anything other than him. Like, one of them's English, one of them's American, and like the English guy keeps being annoyed that he's been shot at. Like he's not used to this. I remember
a poor shootout in the street and then a car door going into someone's face.
Yeah. It looked really bad. So skip this one.
Moving swiftly on.
To Under the Silver Lake, which is from the director of It Follows. That's his next film, and This is a very different film to It Follows, because we talked about this when we found out about it, and we knew it was a noir set in LA, and okay, that sounds interesting, we'll see what he does with that. This is way more quirky than I think I was expecting.
Yeah, but I'll be honest, I'm really into it.
I'm somewhat into it. I'm kind of like, obviously I'm there no matter what because I like the director. Like, I want to see what he does with this.
Yeah. And again, let's point out this is from A24 as well.
A24, who of course, keep pumping them out. Even if you're not interested in all of them, you can't deny that they've all got a pretty good audience.
They have. They're not, they don't. Not every movie appeals to everyone, but the quality is typically there. They're well curated as a studio.
Yeah, it's really weird. But so. This is Andrew Garfield. He meets a girl. They have a great night or two, hanging out, in the swimming pool, at the motel, doing whatever they do. And then he goes to or I guess an apartment building actually. It looks like a motel because it's all at the balconies and the doors out to the balcony.
It's one of those, yeah.
Yeah. So it feels motel-y to me, but it is actually just an apartment building. But he goes to their apartment and it's cleared out as if she was never there. And it's basically him searching for this girl, but it seems like he goes down this really weird rabbit hole of looking for clues in things where
conspiracies
that sound crazy. That sound like he sees a symbol in the apartment, so that sets him on this trail. He's looking for clues in various really
playing
weird
the
things.
record backwards and
yeah, it looks like a bit of a weird, quirky movie. But I am definitely curious. It's definitely got a strong tone and style, and it does make me interested to see what this director keeps on doing, because I feel like this is showing that no matter what he does, he goes headfirst into a style.
Absolutely.
But not necessarily the same style.
I appreciate that though, the diversity of some people. Like,
sure,
it's easy to say, all right, he's a great horror director, but can he do anything else?
And the funny thing is, part of me wants them to just keep doing that, but I am obviously willing to check out what this is. But this appeals to me inherently less, but it does look interesting. So
yeah,
we'll see. We'll see what it is.
Yeah, I'm down for this. It looks pretty good to me.
So yeah, it's Under the Silver Lake, which also, having seen the trailer now, just kind of feeds into his not so conspiracy theories.
Yeah.
But of course, being a movie, I expect it all to turn out to be true. It's a movie.
Or it'll be one of those typical of, well, it's not really true, it's just he's gone in on it.
Yeah. Next up, we had a trailer for a Netflix movie called Come Sunday, based on a true story that I know nothing about. But it's about a pastor who sort of ruffles the feathers by starting to preach some things that everyone else is not. As far as they're concerned, that's not in the Bible. You can't just rewrite it. He's like, I'm not rewriting it, I'm rereading it.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, it's not much in here for me. I don't think.
No, there was a reasonable cast from what I recall, but
yeah.
I'm probably good. Again, I say this a lot, but it's a Netflix movie, so there's a chance it might just get stuck on in the background at some point.
Yeah, I don't see me doing that with this. I think it's someone who is atheist. Like I can watch things where you got religious characters and it doesn't bother me, but this is so ingrained and just it's about this.
No, it's true. I think obviously I was raised Catholic, so I'm used to seeing those sorts of films. So that doesn't turn me off anymore. I'm like, yeah, it doesn't. It's not a selling point, but it doesn't make me go, oh, I can't bother with that. I'm just, I'm used to it. I
like how if you're an atheist but you were raised something, the phrase is raised. In your case, Catholic. It's not, oh, I'm an atheist convert or I'm whatever.
Yeah. I'm an ex-Catholic.
Oh dear.
I'm a born again atheist.
Dear. What did that? Oh, I dropped my stream one day and I thought, nah, it's not real. God wouldn't let that happen. I lost my stream.
Do you know what? People have asked me that before, but there's no defining moment of when do you stop believing in God. I'm like, I don't know. We just
even as someone who wasn't raised religious, there was no time where there wasn't a defining moment where I just decided, yeah, I don't believe in any of this. It was just sort of gradually realizing, yeah, I don't believe in any of this stuff.
I'd say I definitely believed it as a young child because you kind of believe what you're told as a kid, right?
Oh, you believe in Santa as a kid as well, so sure.
Right, exactly. You believe what you're told, and that's raised that way. That's what I was told. I went to Catholic school. I went to church every week, so it was just like that. That's just what the world was.
And if you are religious, this is not mean to offending, but I think what I'm getting at is that if you are atheist, then the idea of God is equal to the idea of Santa Claus. It's the same thing to me.
It is, and I can like because I grew up around so many. I respect religious people.
Santa Clauses.
I do not respect Santa Clauses, no. But it's like you do you. Just I don't need to preach it at me. But you believe whatever you want. I don't care.
Oh gosh, even someone knocks on your door and I remember
Jehovah's Witnesses all the time.
I remember being interrupted when I was eating once. I opened the door and I was like, "Oh, the prophecies. God is going to end all crime soon. What do you think of that?" I'm eating. Go away.
I think you should piss off. Door face.
Still waiting for that crime to go away.
Yep.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Okay. Apologies for the atheist rant there. I shouldn't be surprised that a movie called Come Sunday about a pastor sent me on that path, but here we are.
Really shouldn't.
Alright, so next up we got a movie called Tag. And before I clicked on this, I saw the title and I went, okay, I wonder what this is about. Right? Thinking, like, you know how, like, when you're an assassin and you tag a vehicle, I'm like, oh, maybe it's like that kind of thing where
they're tracking.
Yeah, they track targets and that's so they're tagging them. No, this is literally a comedy about a bunch of guys who still play tag in their 40s. And it's such a lethal game of tag that they do it, like, they'll sneak a tag in at a funeral or a wedding, because that's the opening of the trailer. Well, there's a little bit in the video on the YouTube, because there's a little intro from Jeremy Renner. But the whole joke is apparently it's based on a true story, which doesn't surprise me, honestly. I can see a group of friends being this stupid.
I can too.
But Jake Johnson's there, Jeremy Renner's there, what's his face from
Andy
Office?
from The Office.
Yeah, Andy from The Office, him. And basically they'll be like, like Jeremy Renner's, the whole plot of the movie is that Jeremy Renner has never been tagged. So they've been playing this since they were kids, and for 1 month every year they play tag, and he's never been tagged. And he says he wants to retire because he's getting married. I don't know if that's the reason, but he's getting married, and he's like, we're going to end this, right? And the rest of them are like, we've never tagged him. We have to do this. So so the opening scene in the trailer is he's at his wedding, and while he's doing the vows, one of the friends runs. I think it's Andy runs up and goes to dive, and he moves out the way and just smiles, and you can tell the wife is just like. Like because even the wife, they've all got wives and they're all Isla Fisher's.
They're all in on it, yeah.
The main wife for Jeremy Renner, she was in The Mummy last year, which is no. So she's the least interested one. There was another one who was interesting though that I recognised. I can't remember.
I can't recall now. But
there was a lot of faces. There was a lot of recognisable faces in this.
There was.
But so they like so you see like one of them's at the dad's funeral and Jake Johnson just puts his hands. It's like this is a perfect time to say you're at. And he just puts his hand on his shoulder at his dad's funeral. This is potentially going to be really stupid, but I like a lot of the cast, and I can't deny there's something really simple and potentially really funny about this premise that it could really work. The idea of tagging someone at a funeral or a wedding when it's
absurd.
them when it's them that's like the main part of the wedding, or it's it's their dad who's died or whatever.
Yeah.
Is actually really funny to me because I've got a bit of a sense of humor where I really like the idea of like being really inappropriate funny at a funeral, that really cracks me up. But
having the balls to actually do it like this to this extent,
it'd be easy if I'm the one who's supposed to be the upset one at the funeral because I can make the bold move. Of course, they're all going to question like, oh, he's not accepted. He's acting out. We have to comfort him. And I'm like, no, I'm. This is my sense of humor. Goddammit,
this is my opportunity.
I'm cracking jokes.
Oh god! Yeah, it was by the way, Rashida Jones.
That was who it was. Yeah, that's who.
And John Hamm's in there as well.
And John Hamm, there you go. Oh, he's there was like 4 guys. Yeah, he was the 4th one. Like I say, a lot of faces. There was a lot of faces thrown at me that I recognised. But
This looks incredibly stupid, but just stupid enough to be really fun.
Like
I don't know.
I typically zone out on most mainstream comedies. This is easily the most appealing to me that I've seen in a while. There's something about the premise that just clicks with me.
Same, and it's a cast as well. I think comedies typically live and die.
Oh yeah. I mean, if this was people I didn't like if this was Mark Wahlberg and Melissa McCarthy and other people I didn't like, then yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But I like all of these people. I'm like,
I like Renner, I like Hamm, I like Jake Johnson, and he's all right. I don't like him as much as the rest of them, but he's fine.
But no, he can hold his own.
Yeah. All the ladies are good. I mean, I don't really have much to judge the one from The Mummy on, but the rest of them are all great.
Yeah.
So, no. The
I'm kind of into it, weirdly. I shouldn't be, but I kind of am.
Tag people. Next up, though, we got a trailer for a movie called Zoo, based on a true story. It is set in World War II in Ireland, and there's an elephant at the zoo that this kid's become attached to. His bigger brother or his dad, whoever it was.
Who was his dad?
Yeah, he brought the elephant and he works at the zoo. But during the war, there was a decision to kill all the animals at the zoo. Like there was a plan because if they get free, there's like a risk and whatever, because they can't sort of keep the eyes maintained.
Yeah, the idea that the bombs might scare them, they'll run off and cause damage and chaos.
So the movie is about the kid and a couple of friends that he teams up with, stealing the elephant and taking it to this old lady so they can look after it. And so it's a bit of a sort of kiddie heist kind of thing. Yeah. Bit of sentiment kind of there as well. Definitely get that sort of vibe of like, oh, this wonderful thing that happened in real life.
Yeah.
Which is all fair. It didn't look bad by any means. It didn't necessarily appeal to me. It felt like it was just aiming a little bit lower than... I don't want to say my age range, because there's plenty of more childish things I do like, but it was... Yeah, I don't know. The tone just wasn't singing to me.
Yeah, I'm good. It looks fine, but I don't want to watch it.
Yeah. Also, it's Irish as shit. The accents were really thick.
Do you think?
Yeah, they were pretty thick.
Maybe this is just, again, one of those things where I'm just used to them, that I don't really notice them that strongly.
Yeah. I start making fun and doing some accents, but I can't do an Irish accent, so I'm just going to quickly move on to Sicario 2, which we got a trailer for this week. Sicario was obviously Denis Villeneuve, who everyone's loving. Interestingly, though, I didn't love Sicario. I was kind of in the minority with this one, where I think it was really well shot. Like, had a good visual style to it. Like,
it's gorgeous. Yeah,
I will praise that. But the plot kind of lost me the more it went on. I just wasn't like it, because Benicio del Toro's character, who's kind of like becomes the focus. He's this this kind of assassin dude that that Josh Brolin, who works at the what organization? CIA, FBI, whatever one.
One of those.
Yeah, one of the organizations. He uses him for like all these dirty things that they're not supposed to do. But he's like, no, off book, you go and kill these people for us and help me take down the cartel and blah 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 blah. And obviously it's typically set in Mexico's that side of the border. The idea all this dirty stuff happens across the border. I just felt like the movie shifted focus to him, and I felt like, okay, so it started with Emily Blunt's character and it's going to be about her and she's going to have this realization, and it just, I don't know, it didn't, where it went, it felt like it changed its focus, and the more it went on, I just wasn't into the plot. I wasn't into what the characters were doing and where it was going. Some people loved it though. Some people were so into it, so much that
I did like it a lot.
It's getting a Sicario 2. I have to admit, I like the plot of this one more. This one's way more interesting to me, just purely because the plot seems to be from this trailer. I knew nothing about this before this. Is that once again Josh Brolin's using him to do some dirty deeds, but when he kills someone for him, he ends up the guy's daughter's still there in the car, and he ends up with the daughter, and even the government officials are like, hey, tie up the loose ends, and that's kill the kid. And Benicio del Toro, even though he's like a full-on hitman who kill entire families, at least of adults. I think we saw that in the first movie. I don't know if we saw him kill a kid.
I don't recall.
I imagine he didn't, given this is the plot of the second one, where he's just not willing to do it. And it seems to be that pits him against Josh Brolin, where Josh Brolin's going to have to come in with the forces and try and take him down, as well as the kid.
Yeah, and they make a point of going, hang on, this has got the Mexican government involved instead of just the cartels. It's kind of got bigger than they meant it to.
I like this plot more because I think this is actually the kind of plot that I like when it comes to this kind of character, where the limits of his grey morals are tested because there's a line he won't cross, and he has to kind of become an anti-hero because of that. For me, that's a bit more interesting than just the misery that the first movie was, where we got to the end and it was like, oh no, everything sucks. We're all doomed.
No, I did. I appreciate that though.
So, I mean, given that I wasn't a big fan of the first one, I don't know if I'd necessarily make a point of seeing this, but I have to admit, at least the plot looks more interesting to me for my taste.
That's fair. My concern is it going to look as good?
Yeah, it's not Denis, so...
Yeah, they're a different team behind the camera. Is it going to be as technically proficient?
The trailer looked good enough.
I did, but I'm just, there's just a concern still.
Yeah, no, it could be. So that was the last trailer. I will mention, though, Netflix put out another trailer this week for a movie we already covered a few weeks ago, because we covered a trailer for The Titan, which is a Sam Worthington movie about mixing, the soldiers are doing experimental stuff with DNA, and then he becomes this kind of hybrid character, goes nuts at the end. That's just from the trailer. when we covered that, it was just a movie. Since then, Netflix have got the rights to it. Netflix have bought it, so now it's a Netflix original. It's coming March 30th, so Netflix put out their trailer. I don't know if it was the exact same trailer, but we already covered it and covered all about the plot was in that. So no need to watch the new one and talk about it again. But I thought it was worth mentioning that that's coming soon.
Netflix have now picked up. It's weird to have been on that before Netflix.
Yeah, it's weird because usually the first we see if it's when they put out their trailer, whereas here we got a trailer and then Netflix grabbed it. And
it's almost like they put up the trailer and then Netflix saw it and went, hey, this, because if I recall, this had very few views on YouTube when we saw this trailer.
That's right, yeah, and I think it was probably just going to get a VOD release anyway, or maybe a very limited release.
Right, so I wonder if Netflix saw the trailer. I wonder if they have someone scouring for these sorts of trailers and then they kind of just approach going, how much do you want for it? We'll give you this much.
I don't think they'll score for it, because I feel like inside the business they'll have like a more direct line of like, here's all the things that are in the market. Like, I don't think they have to scour YouTube like we do.
No, but I wouldn't be surprised if they're just one man just sitting there going, okay, there's that. We haven't got that on our radar.
Plus, given that this is a one-time thing so far, that we've seen the trailer first and then Netflix have grabbed it.
To our knowledge.
Yeah. I would imagine that that's not how they do things, but at least not typically. So that's the Titans coming March 30th. It looked like it could be kind of rough, but I don't know if we can cover that the day it hits, but we might try and have a look at it within a week.
We'll see how...
We're really busy when we get to that point in the month, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Because even if it's bad, it looks going to be a bit interesting to talk about. But hey, but we actually almost forgot. In fact, we did forget because we went back and recorded this a little bit later. What our favourite trailer of the week is, because we forgot to do that. So we've got quite a few to pick from.
Yeah, I think there's actually a few valid choices this week. Whereas, sometimes I'm like, there's one clear choice, or there's just not really.
I don't think I had one that I outright completely loved like I did the last week.
No, I agree with that.
But there's a few solid ones here. Oh, Deadpool 2 is pretty good. I think Terminal's a nice little teaser.
Yeah. Deadpool 2, obviously, Terminal stands out for style. I think.
Obviously, Under the Silver Lake. Yeah, Under the Silver Lake's got a big style thing too as well.
And strangely enough, Tag.
That's the weird thing. It's between Under the Silver Lake and Tag, and that's a really weird pair to be competing.
Tag is a really. It might end up being an awful movie, but it's a strong trailer enough that. We say we're not really interested in mainstream comedies for the most part, but this trailer kind of won us over to some extent.
Yeah,
so credit to it for that.
I probably still have to go Under the Silver Lake though.
I think I do.
It's just a more interesting movie.
I agree. I just mention that Tag is in contention for some reason.
Yeah, but also points for style for Terminal.
Yeah, and obviously Deadpool 2 just continued its solid marketing campaign that it's had since the first one.
So, next up, Amy Adams is in talks to star in a film called The True American. Interestingly, this is from Annapurna Pictures, who are still going to produce it, but they no longer want to finance it directly, so Amazon are in talks to finance it now, so this may end up in an Amazon Studios movie as well, once it goes through. But so Amy Adams is involved in this. It's not a done deal yet, because she's still working out scheduling. She's doing that HBO limited series called Sharp Objects. It's in the works, which she's also producing, but she wants this to be her next movie, apparently, if she can fit it into the schedule. So Jackie director Pablo Larraín is on board to direct. Mark Ruffalo and Camille Nanjiani are in talks to co-star, so a good cast between us.
Definitely.
Obviously, Nanjiani we liked a lot in Big Sick. Ruffalo, of course, is Ruffalo. So, based on a non-fiction book by Anand Giridharadas. There you go, I think that's right. So Joe always bums. I feel like these types of names aren't super hard to say in terms of pronunciation. It's just there's so many goddamn syllables that I have to stop and think about the rhythm of it.
Getting them in the right order.
Yeah. But hey, so The True American is set in Texas in the days following 9/11. It follows Ray's Behuian. Yeah, I'll say that. Behuian. Yeah. Whatever. Ray's. I'll just call him Ray's. A Muslim immigrant and Bangladesh Air Force veteran who narrowly survived a killing spree that took the lives of 2 other immigrants. Employed at a Dallas area convenience store, he has established himself in America. Ray's, sorry. So it said his last name, but I thought, no, I'll go with the first name. Then I forgot what his first name was. So I just butchered it anyway. So yeah, so Ray's worked to have his attacker, self-proclaimed Arab slayer Mark Stroman, spared from execution. So he actually went and try to stop his attacker from being killed. So I'm not sure who Amy Adams would play. Maybe she'll be like a lawyer or someone, or involved in this. But it seems like an interesting story. Obviously, someone attacking Muslims because of 9/11 is a sort of retaliation style thing.
It is. Just a question on the wording there. It mentions killing spree and then says 2 were killed. Is 2 enough to be considered a spree?
When we watch season 2 of Mindhunter, we'll find out.
I'll allow
it. Maybe it's a spree because it was attempting more as well. Like it would have been a spree had he killed all his targets.
I don't know. In my mind, spree needs more.
I think it depends. Like, I think if it's like you had 2 targets in mind and you kill those 2, that's not a spree. That's just a double murder. But I think when it's like, no, I'm going to kill whoever I run into when I go killing. Feels more like a spree to me. But the actual definition, I can't tell you. I'm just going with what feels
just
right.
with your gut.
Yeah, that's my gut.
No, I'll allow it.
Next up, I actually think it sounds kind of a good story though, and possibly an interesting little, because I like the title. True American sounds kind of, like it clearly has like a moral it wants to tell, and like he's actually going to go show sympathy for the guy who attacked him when obviously the guy who attacked him is the complete opposite. So
yes, not a true American.
Exactly. And now all I can hear is Hulk Hogan's theme music playing in my head. I'm a real American. Fight for the rights of every man. Okay. Wrestling fans will have it in their head now that I've said
Sorry, out of my head, I don't know what it sounds like.
So next up, Joey Egerton is going to star opposite Timothy Chalamet. Is that how you say his name? From
yes.
Call Me By Your Name. So it's another Netflix movie. It's called The King. Plan B produced. It's directed by War Machine Helmer David McCord. So Egerton's already a co-writer of the movie with the director, so he's also writing it as well. So he's heavily involved. This is based on Shakespeare's plays Henry IV and V. Chalamet portrays in the pick a young, disgraced prince who inherits the crown and must learn what it means to be king, guided by his one true friend, Falstaff, played by Egerton. As someone who's not a Shakespeare fan and has never in any way, shape or form read or seen Henry IV or the Fifth, I have absolutely no idea.
I've seen both of them. They're not my favourite Shakespeare's. They're kind of they're all right.
Is it interesting they're doing both as one movie?
Yeah, I think so.
Here's a question.
I've never seen it done that way.
Are they actually sequels to each other? Is Henry V actually a sequel to Henry IV? Did Shakespeare do that?
I don't know. I've never, because I've just ever seen them separately, so I've never considered them as sequels. But
okay.
I mean, I guess
I'm just curious. Yeah, I mean, this is no interest for me. I mean, I like Egerton, of course, but I'm not a Shakespeare guy.
I'm down.
Next up, the Dunham Group is tapped writer-director Noam Dromey and Evan Green to develop Max Ford as a film. It's adapted from Sally Fernandez's spy thriller Climatized, and they're hoping to launch a franchise. And I want to give myself points for Noam, because I really want to say Naomi, because it's like an O and an A with the, because you see the word, you think you recognise the one you're used to seeing, and I went, no, it's not that. Brain process it for a second.
Yeah.
And we got
you kind of undermined it by going through it here now and congratulating yourself instead of just letting it sit.
No. Pat in the back. I'm having it. So, the story follows loner and former CIA agent Max Ford across the globe as she's plunged into an international conspiracy led by a shadow organisation whose influence reaches the highest levels of our government. What's the hook? That is like every other spy thing ever.
Pretty much.
Also, I hate when they just use the character's name as the title, unless it's a.
You really have a thing against that, don't you?
But it's just boring. John Carter failed because it was called John Carter.
It definitely didn't fail because it was called John
Carter. Yeah, no, it did. It failed because it was called John Carter. If that was called something Mars, that had a chance.
You really believe that?
I really believe that film's title hampered its success.
Maybe.
100%. It sounds like shit. No one wants to see a film called John Carter.
Fair enough.
I don't know if anyone's going to want to see a film called Max Ford. It's a slightly cooler name, but it's still just a name.
Yeah, okay. Can't argue with that.
There's a reason why Jason Bourne's easily the weakest of the Bourne movies, alright?
Yeah, it's all down to the name.
Well, it was the same director back from the two good ones, or two better ones, and you know.
Say, which ones are you saying the two good ones?
Supremacy and Ultimatum, easily.
Oh man,
I did easily better.
My favorite.
No, I think it's okay. I think it's fine, but it's too much of a slow spy movie. That's
why I like it the most.
No. Supremacy and Ultimatum have a lot more character depth for me, and a lot more visceral.
They are. I can't deny that, but I enjoy the spy roots of the first one.
Anyway, next up, Jason Weiner. What an unfortunate name. I just imagine on school.
Yeah.
Jason Weiner has attached himself to a John Gray script called Gawker v. Thiel, which settles on the fall of the controversial media company and the man who helped it bring it all down. So, the title suggests that this will be a courtroom drama. Sources close to the material said that the famous court case involving Gawker and pro wrestling icon Hulk Hogan. That's funny. I didn't even mean for that to be something that links up to something later on.
I don't even follow anything to do with wrestling, and even I know that the WWE are in talks with him at the minute to get him back.
Oh yeah, because that's a good. Yeah, bring the racists back. That's a,
I don't know. I was like, what? I was like, I'm sure that I remember hearing about.
They were in hot bother in the last couple of weeks as well because they announced like a tournament or something named after like a women's wrestler from. You know, it was a women's tournament, right? So because they've got a men's one already, so they've got a women's one. And I think it was based on. I'm about to accuse or not accuse, but I'm about to like say they did a lot of awful things. So I don't want to get the name wrong in case it's not the one I think it is. Okay. I think it's the Fabulous Moolah. I could be wrong though. So in case it isn't, don't assume that she's the awful person here. But the one they're naming is, we're going to celebrate the history of women's wrestling. We're going to do, the honor the ladies in our business. She was basically like this awful pimp who would like send the young lady wrestlers to have sex with like promoters and stuff. Like she was an awful, vile human being. And people like, hey, you're honoring the women of your business today with this awful, detestable person who basically single-handedly set back women's wrestling for decades because she ruined it with her attitude. And even like, I believe she also changed the style, because before it was like, no, they actually competed like the men did in proper matches, and she's like, no, let's change it to the more sort of girly slapping and like hair pulling because
that sells.
Well, no, I think the reason was because she was getting older and she couldn't wrestle properly, so it was to make it easier so she could still do it.
Oh, okay.
I believe that was the reason, and because of that, it set like the. I think just now in the last couple of years, it's starting to like be respected again, and like it's arguably the matches are even better than a lot of the men's are. It's still uneven because there's still way more men's matches than are female, and there's still. Like the crowd clearly aren't as into the women's matches they are the men's usually.
I think that's a typical thing that's, again, I don't follow this, but that's built in with, okay, all the men have all these stars that they know because they've been around for X amount of time, so there is an attachment that's just not there with some.
But it's definitely better than it was, and you can see it slowly chipping away. Like they've actually let the women main event a pay-per-view once or twice, in the last year or two, which is a big difference from before. Because typically back when I was a kid watching it, you'd get women's match, and it would often be like a really sexist match. Like it'd be, they have to strip each other down to their underwear. That's how they win.
Sounds about right.
Yeah. Whereas now, we'll treat it like actual proper matches and stuff. I mean, the writing's still just bad across the board in general in wrestling right now, but they're at least giving them time to do.
That's not distinct to one gender though.
No. That's the writing's bad all over the place. So the point I was making is, so they're making a really bad habit right now of being like, we'll just, do something with someone awful, or, keep the awful reputation going. Anyway, so Hogan sued the company after a leaked sex tape without his permission happened. It will not be the forefront of the film. Instead, the movie will focus on the important individuals behind the scenes, including Nick Denton, owner of Gawker Media, AJ Delario, who is the editor who published the tape, and billionaire Peter Thiel, who secretly helped finance the Hogan defense in hopes to ensure a victory for the plaintiff, as well as examine the First Amendment rights in the digital age. So this billionaire Thiel had beef with Gawker, so he funded not only Hogan's like court case but also other court cases against them because he wanted to take them down. So that seems like that's going to be more the focus than just the Hogan case.
Yeah, no, I mean I don't care about Hogan. I was never a fan of wrestling, as people know, and then obviously there was all that other stuff about him. But
from the sex tape specifically.
Well, yeah, but I like the idea of okay, it's let's take the media to what we can do in again constitutionally, right? That seems to be the premise.
Yeah, it's funny actually because we were saying about the True American movie, which we brought this up because I said his song was I'm a real American. That's the whole thing. A lot of cynical voices after us, like, yeah, real American. When all that story came out, so there's a weird like cynic. This is the cynical real world like attitude, and then here's the idealistic, hopeful meaning of the phrase, and like so. But yeah, I'm not inherently interested, but I mean, it could end up being like a big Oscar movie if they have like a really good like story about.
I can see it.
Yeah, I can see them giving it that kind of weight if they want to go for it. But hey, next up, Netflix has acquired the global rights to All the Boys I've Loved Before, from Awesomeness Films and Overbrook Entertainment. Yeah, someone actually named their company Awesomeness Films.
What a dick. What a pretentious knob.
Based on the best-selling novel by Jenny Han, the film stars Alita Battle Angel actress Lana Condor. Of course, we've not seen that yet, but
no, we won't for a while yet either.
Yeah, it got delayed. And the Foster's actor Noah Centineo. Susan Johnson directed it. The story follows Lara Jean Song Covey. 4 names. Just pick 2. God damn it. Yeah, it follows Lara Jean Song Covey, whose life goes from imaginary to out of control when the love letters for every boy she's ever loved, 5 in all, are mysteriously mailed out. The film is based on the book of the same name and is the first of the To All the Boys I've Loved Before trilogy by Han. So Netflix might have a nice little young adult teenage trilogy on their hand.
Yeah, okay.
Not for us, I don't think.
I'm good, but sure.
I actually I appreciate the premise. It sounds at least like it's got a core focus to it more than some of these other movies do, where it's just, she likes a boy. Well, she get the boy by the end. No, this is like, someone leaked all her like cheesy love letters.
Yeah, I get what it is. I don't want to watch it, but I can see what it is as a movie.
Next up, Netflix. Again, Netflix making movies. They're going to do a movie with Amy Poehler, who's going to make her directorial debut and star in a comedy called Wine Country. Not a whole lot here, but it says it's about a group of friends having a weekend celebration of a 50th birthday. Sure. Not a lot to go on, but
I like Amy Poehler, so
yeah,
could be good.
So I think Netflix are at a point now where they're already consistently pumping out 1 movie a week.
We had a couple this week, I believe.
Yeah, so we can see that between all the trailers we got this week. There's another 2 March dates, there's an April date, so they're really every week. So it makes sense they keep making more.
We had 2 this week. Was it? No, we had 3 this week.
Oh, okay.
That's that's if they've got 3 to just pump out in one day, then they must have more planned ready.
Yeah, they're going to have so much original movies. Like, see, in like 2 years' time, when we look back at all the movies they've pumped out, it's like, damn, there's like almost 20 years worth of like Universal's library almost matched with that many. Anyway, so so also Tina Fey is going to be in it, but it says her kind of weirdly because it says like the cast includes and it lists like 4 people, including Maya Rudolph, who's the name I sort of recognise. Emily Spivey's there, Anna Gasteyer, Paula Pell, Rachel Dratch are the other names, and then it says the end and features Tina Fey, so I'm thinking cameo for her. Given the way it says her name.
Obviously they've got a really strong friendship and we've done a lot of work together. So
they start shooting in March. I actually think you'll see this before the end of the year. It's a comedy that starts shooting this month. I feel like
I can see it September to November range.
They can do this quite quickly. This is not a long shoot. Alright, next up, Michael B. Jordan is on board to produce a World War II action drama called The Liberators through his Outlier Society Productions with Safe House Pictures. It's not yet determined if he's going to be in the movie, so he might be in it, he may not be. But the project is based on a spec script written by Madison Turner and tells the story of the 76th 1st Regiment in World War II, which is an entirely African-American combat unit whose heroism led to the desegregation of the armed forces. So, also, that's another big one I could see like being a big Oscar movie. This is the story of this is what changed the segregation of the army.
It sounds cool. I don't really care because I don't care about war movies as a general rule.
Yeah, I don't like war movies either. There's the odd exception that stands out, but you know what? Like people who go on about Saving Private Ryan, it's sentimental stuff. I don't care.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of it.
The opening scene is well shot, sure, but like I'm not that much into it. It's fine.
No.
and so on. I just picked that one out because people tend to go on about that a lot.
No, like every so often there'll be one that I really do like Hacksaw Ridge is the recent one that I went, yeah, I enjoyed that a lot.
I think the one I'm looking up at my war section, like, you know, I like stuff like I like Das Boot. That's a submarine movie, which is a war movie technically, but you know, it's something specific. I like, you know, Braveheart's a war movie. It's just, you know, it's a really old war, so it's really different.
Technically, yes.
Yeah.
I'm thinking specifically like World War One onwards, those sort of war movies. I'm kind of like eh.
Like the Deer Hunter, you can count that as a war movie because it's got lots of flashbacks to Vietnam. But you know, again, it's got like a hook. It's got something. It's not just the story of them fighting in Vietnam.
Yeah,
kind of thing. So it's more the trauma once you come back.
Yeah, this isn't to say that there can't be good ones, and there can't be great ones because clearly they can, and they can win me over. But it takes a lot. It has to actively win me over. I'm never going to hear it's a war movie and be excited. No matter what.
I also own Inglourious Bastards, which does technically count.
Yeah.
Technically,
it's probably my favorite Tarantino movie, I guess. So it's the one I like the most.
Do you know what? We all know you don't like Tarantino. You don't have to make the.
No, I'm just I said that's probably my favorite one.
Okay. All right. Well, that takes us on to the horror movie news section. So first up, then we have New Regency and BBC Films have taken on the rights to a script called His House. First-time UK writer-director Remy Weeks is going to be helming this. It's been described as an elevated genre title that hit the headlines last summer when it became caught up in a $10 million ownership lawsuit launched by the Weinstein Company, who are too busy being bankrupt right now to probably keep fighting this. Senior management at Weinstein Company have now confirmed that the lawsuit will not be going ahead and the project is free to take off with new backers. Yeah, because you're too busy being bankrupt and all your NDAs all like went, you know, expired.
It all went tits up, didn't it?
Yeah, so like I feel like last year, this was before all the controversy. It was like, yeah, we're going to fight for a right for this, and then that's the least of your problems now. This is the least of your.
We don't care. That's not going to do anything.
Yeah, apparently because the NDAs and all this stuff lifted with the bankruptcy, apparently they owe money to so many people. Like, there's like directors and actors all over the place, so they owe money. Oh
boy, that's going to be fun.
So
I can't wait to cover more of that.
So yeah, so here we go. So that's the backers. There's New Regency and BBC Films. They've also got some actors on board here. We got Wunmi Mosaku. That's a cool name. They're apparently in Fantastic Beasts. I don't know who they were in Fantastic Beasts, but that's a cool name.
I agree.
And Soap Dirizu, who was in The Huntsman Winter's War, which I never saw, but that's what they're telling me these people were in. So they star in the film. They'll have a major budget. Major budget for like a first-time debut kind of thing at $10 million. It's going to start shooting in the spring. It's an elevated horror that follows a young refugee couple who make a harrowing escape from a war-torn Sudan, but then struggle to adjust to their new life in a small English town that has an evil lurking beneath the surface. Which is a little bit vague in terms of what the evil actually is, but it does say the script has a lot of buzz. Like, people are really, people behind the scenes are really excited about the script.
Yeah, I think it's pretty clear this is going to be the whole immigration message, right?
Yeah, we're going to be using, and as always, monster as metaphor is a big thing that always works, and I feel like that's kind of the point here.
Yeah, I don't mean that as a criticism. I mean that's what it's going for, and that's perfectly fine.
Oh no, that's good. I like the sound of it actually. I think there's some potential here.
Yeah. What's elevated horror mean? What they keep using that phrase, elevated.
It means like Get Out, where it's going to have some prestige and not just looked down upon as a horror movie that's schlock.
Okay, they're trying to make it like an actual movie.
It's basically kind of just them being pretentious against actual horror movies.
It felt pretty pretentious, but I'm going to check because I've never heard a movie described as that yet.
I don't think it'll have. I mean, the film could end up being really good, and I like that horror films aim for other things. I like that they try and do other things, but there is a pretension in the industry against horror movies in general.
Oh, absolutely. There always has been, though.
So one can't help but see that phrase and say, screw you, you assholes. But I don't necessarily think that's on the people making it, though. That may be the studio.
It's more likely from the studios.
Yeah. Or even just the writer of this article, potentially. But, so hey. So there you go. So that is, what did I say the name of that was? His House is what it's called. Yeah. So even that, the idea they're moving into someone else's house, again, we're dealing with immigration and the fear of immigration. So interesting. So I wonder if it actually is just full on like sort of Straw Dog style, where the villains are just all the local English people. They might go
I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, given that again the current climate, it would be very interesting to do that as a horror movie.
Yeah. So anyway, next up, so we got a 6-figure deal. The H Collective have acquired Aaron W. Sala's horror thriller script, The Beast. After a passenger plane goes down in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, a woman finds herself washed ashore and the sole survivor on a mysterious island where she faces her worst fears. Also relatively vague. I don't actually know if there's a literal actual beast that's hunting her, or if it is purely psychological and it's the inner beast.
Yeah, this is just stranded on an island, so it could be, she's kind of going a bit crazy.
Part of me wants it to be like a Tomb Raider-esque thing, but it's just a one-on-one, like her versus a big monster thing, and she has to learn to hunt and defend herself.
6-figure just for a script in horror is quite a significant amount.
Yeah. That is interesting. So I don't know, but it's interesting. So that's The Beast. So that's on the radar.
On the radar for sure.
Next up, we got a director for a film called Body Cam, Malik Vital, maybe is how you pronounce his last name. So Paramount Players are doing this. Body Cam is described as notice how we had some successful horror movies in the last year, especially these elevated horror movies. And I say that loving Get Out, but I hate that term. Described as Get Out meets End of Watch, the story follows several LAPD officers who are haunted by a malevolent spirit that is tied to the murder of a black youth at the hands of 2 white cops, all of which was caught on body cam video that was destroyed in a cover-up. Super topical, of course, and again, using the horror to actually, mean something. I think the idea that we're getting some more racially charged, shall we say, horror movies, it does not surprise me after the success of Get Out.
That's, I hope these are all good, obviously. But the cynic in me does go, they're just cashing in on that Get Out success.
Yeah, that's why they're being made, I think, absolutely. But, that doesn't necessarily mean that they can't all be great.
No, this could have been, Get Out opened the floodgates to allow them to be made. These good movies can come out now.
Here's what I will say, though. I like that even if it's like, they're riding the wave of Get Out, it doesn't feel like... Usually when there's a big horror movie of some kind, usually all the copies will actually just be carbon copies of the plot with different, like, sort of little, twists on it. This is like a completely different place. The only thing that makes this feel like, Get Out inspired this is because, we're using a racial topic and we're going to explore that with a horror trope of some kind.
You're right. That's the thing that's... It's not like, when found footage took off and everyone was doing the found footage movie. It isn't that. This is the racial tension movies.
Yeah,
but they're all kind of different aspects of that.
Yeah, the plots are all completely different. This is, Get Out was liberal racism. This is the guilt and the haunting of, like, a cop killing a black kid.
The last one was the immigration.
Yeah, they're all doing different things. So honestly, for floodgates to open, these all sound kind of good.
It's a pretty good floodgate.
And even if only a couple of them end up being good, hey, that's a win. So
that's better than not having them at all, isn't it?
So small thing as well, Lynn Shay, who of course has been in all the Insidious movies, she was in a really awful movie that me and Tim did last year called, I think, was it The Black Room? I think it was called. Basically there was a room in the house that the husband got possessed by a sex demon.
Okay.
And it was,
I have heard all I need. And
it was equally, like, funny because it was so ridiculous, but also kind of, like, sexist at times. Like, it was kind of a mix of, like, things. Like, it's like you could never just enjoy it for the silly aspect of it, because every so often it would do something and felt okay, right, and then we're just like, this is just poor taste. Like, it went back and forth too much, but it was a terrible movie. The acting was garbage. Anyway, but she was in like a cameo in that. She was in the opening prologue scene of that, so you could tell that the production company got her in for a day to do this little scene, and that was it. But she's going to be in the Grudge remake, is basically what the news is.
Okay.
So she is the elderly Scream Queen. that's
she
her.
Is. She definitely is.
Arguably, Jamie Lee Curtis is an elderly Scream Queen now as well. But A, she's carrying her age pretty well, and B, she's been a Scream Queen since she was like 20. So she.
So yeah, she's still always 20 for the Scream Queen.
Although Lynn Shay was also the high school teacher in the first Nightmare on Elm Street when she was middle aged. So if you count that
she's got a legacy, yeah.
Well, obviously her husband's Bob Shay, who was the owner of New Line Cinema. who made Nightmare on Elm Street and everything else, and is now part of Warner. So yeah, definitely a bit of a legacy there. All right, next up, this is the last story of the week, last of the horror section as well, of course. So this is kind of non-news ultimately, but I thought this was just ridiculous enough that it was worth talking about. So,
then.
Robert Hall, who is known for Laid to Rest, although I don't know what that movie is, so he's not that known. And it's not like I'm not someone who knows a lot of horror movies, so I don't know what that is. But apparently he was on board or interested in doing a Chopping Mall remake, right, for a good while, and he gave an update on it this week. He come out and said this: my version of Chopping Mall that I wrote is totally supernatural. It's more the fog set in an abandoned mall than it is robots. Instead of killer robots, there are mannequins that are possessed by the souls of dead slaves that worked at the plantation that the mall was built over. This is
very Native American burial grounds.
Yes, it's very much that kind of idea that Poltergeist had. So, here's the thing, right? I think if back in the day, if they did a Chopping Mall 2 after the first one, like a year after the first one, and they said, hey, every movie's going to have a different enemy. The whole gimmick is that every movie's just set in a mall. And I'm like, okay, that's not a terrible idea. But we only ever had one, and it was, 30 years ago now.
Yeah.
So, to me, not having the killer robots is not Chopping Mall.
I'd be down for it being the mannequins if they turn out like they're like the Autons from Doctor Who. If you can recall those, which are just the mannequins, but they open up, they've like guns inside their arms and shit like that.
I mean, here's the thing: a creepy mannequin movie sounds kind of good. Like, there's nothing wrong with that idea. This is just really not Chopping Mall.
I don't like it being all supernatural possessy. What I want is okay, because the robots were all security things, right? What if the mall? They got security mannequins. Like they were mannequins that you dress up, do all your stuff, but that's it. They're actually your security.
Yeah, but he's saying it's supernatural, so that's
but I don't like that part. I'm saying this is how you make it Chopping Mall instead.
Nah, for me, killer robots is kind of what Chopping Mall is. And honestly, a creepy mannequin movie sounds like a fine idea as well, to be honest, though. And I think Supernatural's fine for that. Like, I don't want them to go into super amount of detail as to why it's happening. If anything, just strike them with lightning like the robots did. But, creepy mannequins are a thing, and that could work. However, it's not very Chopping Mall. And obviously, apparently there was an uproar, Chopping Mall fans. I wouldn't say I'm uproared and angry about this, but, people were like, that's not Chopping Mall, you can't do that. However, the original movie's director, Jim Wynorski, has said that it's not happening. He's like, don't hold your breath. He wrote this on Facebook. Lionsgate own the US home video rights to Chopping Mall now, and they never consulted Robert Hall. Corman might have given Hall an option several years ago, but it's not. It's long since expired. Like, this is not happening. He has no claim on making a Chopping Mall remake. It's never happening. And apparently, there's even the director of the new one potentially said that, oh yeah, it's been in the works for a while, but budget issues keep preventing cameras from rolling. But it sounds like he doesn't even have a chance of making it now. So
what a shame.
But I just thought the idea that someone wanted to make a Chopping Mall remake but take out the awesome killer robots, like...
No, I agree. That's what Chopping Mall is.
So Chopping Mall. Fantastic B movie from the 80s, if you haven't
I will second that.
The pleasure. Yeah, I liked it so much that I made Connor and Tim watch it like a week later.
Yeah.
That's basically what happened. I watched it and said, I'm watching this again with day two. Anyway, so... that's the news. That is the end of the news, which takes us on to the section that I think will be more sparse as we go here at this time of year, because we're going to be busier and busier with other things to record for reviews and watch for reviews. I have nothing this week that I didn't watch for a review, but do you have anything that you watched?
I've got a few, yeah. I'm trying to lump in the last bunch I can before I really just stuck for time.
Yeah.
So I just real quickly, I did watch When We First Met, which obviously you mentioned last week.
Oh, sure, yeah.
I pretty much second all your thoughts, going, yeah, okay, it's really predictable in what it's doing, but I had fun with it. I can't really complain. I will really criticize a moment that really bugged me specifically. Okay. They're looking at a playlist, a jazz playlist on a phone, and he goes, wow, you got some really deep cuts in here. And I look at the names, and it's all just Coltrane and Davis. I'm like, that's not deep cuts, that's standard jazz legends.
It
really bothered me.
You studied music though, so you...
No, but if you're going to listen to jazz, they're like the first point of call. Like, that's where you start. It's just like, I mean, it wouldn't have been killed you to do a little bit more. I don't know.
All right, all right.
But also on Netflix, I watched The Poker King. This is Polka, the music. This is a biopic.
So poker.
Yes, but poker. So I'm saying, poker as in that, not the cards. I'm specifying.
Yeah, but you don't pronounce them the same way.
You do, pretty much.
Oh, poker.
Yeah. Say them both.
Poker.
They're basically the same.
Nah.
So I wanted to specify, just because,
I knew what you meant before you specified it.
All right, fine, but someone might not have, so I'm being considerate. Anyway, this is a biopic of a Polish man who came to America, Pennsylvania. I think it was like the 80s or something like that, and he basically kind of runs a scam where he gets people to invest in him as a brand. He's kind of good meaning, but it kind of just it gets deeper and deeper, and the government shows up, and it goes on and on, and it's kind of ridiculous. The bit that sells it is you've got Jack Black as the main guy, and then you've got Jenny Slate in there as well as the wife, and it's this very quirky, strange thing. It's an interesting watch. It's kind of fun. And
I literally never heard of this.
I was just going, I couldn't sleep one day. I was like, all right, what Netflix got come out recently, and this was from a couple of months ago, that one of their originals. So I thought that'll do. That can go on. It's only an hour and 20 minutes or whatever it was.
That just goes to show how poor they've been in the past at actually marketing. I mean, we're kind of aware of them now because we're looking for the trailers every week, but like.
Yeah, honestly, I stand by. I think Bright is the first thing of theirs that really they marketed properly.
Yeah, no.
Regardless of quality of the movie, that was the first one they properly marketed.
Well, I mean, I you can say Cloverfield Paradox as well because they put a Super Bowl spot for that.
That was after.
Yeah. Oh, sure, yeah, but I mean, that's the two of them now, basically, that have had big marketing pushes in some way.
Pretty much.
Anything else?
I watched Hunt for the Wilder People at last.
Oh yeah.
I enjoyed this a lot. Have you seen this one?
I have, yeah.
Yeah. This cracked me up in all the right ways. So that was excellent.
I like to wait a bit. I thought it was maybe a touch over long, but
okay.
Yeah, they're out in the woods for a long time. That's all I'll say.
Yeah.
But no, this is obviously it's probably my least favourite of his though. I like What We Do in the Shadows more. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah. I'm assuming you still prefer that over Thor.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Yeah, given your general feelings on that.
I mean, honestly, I might like Thor Ragnarok more the next time I see it. Maybe when I'm separated from, like, okay, I know
what to expect now.
Yeah, maybe I'll like that as a comedy more if I watch it again at some point. But
yeah, maybe.
What We Do in the Shadows is definitely his best movie though so far.
Oh, I agree with that. Yeah. So. No, I agree with that. But I did like this a lot. Then again, this was a case of I couldn't sleep. I was like, what's going to knock me out? I thought something just long and potentially that'll just bore me, and you'll be like, it'll just put me on. Something that I should have watched at some point, but it might put me to sleep. And I thought, well, it's coming up to Easter, so I threw on Ben-Hur, the original one.
Oh God!
And I ended up not sleeping because I kind of got into it. I really dug it. You're not a fan, I take it.
I did my time. I put in my 4 hours. I could tick it off all the best of lists that it's on, and now I never have to look back again. I did my time.
No, I really liked it more than I thought I was going to.
Oh my God!
What is it you don't like about it?
Oh well, it's just so goddamn long. It takes.
That's the thing. It is. I didn't even notice because I was waiting to fall asleep, and then I was just like, oh shit! I'm like 2.5 hours into this.
It takes so long to get going. And yeah, sure, the chariot sequence is pretty impressive for the time, and there's nice big wide shots and whatnot. But the whole thing, like a lot of it's just shot in wide shots, so it's got a very sort of, even though they get different locations, it's very got a play kind of feel to it a lot of the time.
It has.
And like, yeah, I mean, the final like 20-30 minutes, like.
When it gets a bit all preachy.
When it gets really religious. I mean, we had a conversation about my atheism earlier on, but when it gets really preachy, I just felt like, what? Why would that?
No, I agree with that criticism, but like I said, I went to a Catholic school. I have seen far worse when it comes to preachy.
Oh, I'm sure you have.
So that was just like, this is fine, whatever. But
as I brought up in the TV news this week, go check out the trailer for Christmas with a capital C.
yeah. But no, I really enjoyed that. And then continuing the biblical theme, I went with Noah. I really like the first half. I think the first half is excellent.
I like the first half too. See, when it's a post-apocalyptic world with rock monsters, I'm into it.
Stuff's amazing. Yeah.
And then it turns into Noah, but it's like Noah's Ark mixed with him wanting to kill his kids and his grandkids. I
kind of like this interpretation of Noah in a way. It's like this. It's I don't know. I don't hate it. I don't. The second half's nowhere near as good. Don't get me wrong. There are moments in it I still quite like, but overall it's just kind of like, all right, this is fine.
I found myself wishing it wasn't a Noah movie anymore. It was just, oh no, it's an apocalyptic movie, rock monsters, wasteland, families on a journey try to find something. Just do that, please. Yeah, and Emma Watson was being awful.
Yeah, she's not the best part of the movie. I'll give you that. Look, I'm not saying the second half is that great. I like it well enough.
And there's some legitimate laugh out loud moments where they're acting really serious about something.
That's fair, but it is a noticeable step down from the first half.
Yeah, first half could have been a great little sci-fi movie if they kept going with that.
Yeah, overall I'd say it's pretty good overall, but it's nothing special. Could have been though.
I think Mother's better, although it's still got some murky elements. I think Aronofsky needs to try and simplify his movie.
He needs an editor, is what you're saying.
He needs to get back to being less self-indulgent, please. That'd be lovely.
That's fair. I still need to watch Mother. It's on the list. Maybe I'll get around to that soon.
It's really well directed. Like, there's some great sequences that I love throughout it, but the final act is pure self-indulgence. Like it's just pure. Hey, get my point. Get the point of the movie. And it is kind of biblical again. Actually, once you actually realise what it's about. But
that's fair. But I will say about Noah as well. Clint Mansell's score is excellent, as usual.
I usually love his stuff, so I'll agree. But I don't actually remember it. So
that's fair. It's not his most memorable, but
because I saw this in the theatre when it came out. So
yeah, a good few years ago now.
So it's been a while, yeah. But hey, all right, is that you? You done?
Right, that's me.
Jesus Christ, 4-hour movie.
It's only like 3.5.
Yeah. See, whenever you tell me you like time for something and you pop in there, I watched Ben-Hur.
Well, this is the thing. I put it on when I went to sleep. I thought, this will knock me right out. I'll go to sleep now. This was at like 6 a.m. I was like, okay, yeah, this is what I need.
Anyone who's mad we dropped Jessica Jones, blame Connor spending 4 hours watching Ben-Hur. I was like,
but I was never going to watch Jessica Jones at that time. This is the thing. I can't put on something that I'm going to talk about in a review if I'm going to fall asleep during it.
Oh sure. Oh, of course, yes. We pay attention to the movies we review.
Right, exactly.
Ideally.
Yeah, and so I couldn't have watched Jessica Jones in that time because my intention was to just put it on and fall asleep, and I'll pick it up another night when I'm going to fall asleep again. I'll just put it on like that. So it's not like it's not time that I would have spent watching anything else. It just happened to be on.
Oh well, that is that section. Which leads me to telling you what's coming up, or what has come up, movie review-wise on the channel, or you can get in the audio feeds. Of course, the movie audio feeds. Obviously, this is on the movie and TV news audio feed. You've got the movies feed, My Old Fuzz Movies, which is all the 1.21 shows, Influx, Gigawatts, Overload, and then you've got the Streams After Midnight feed, which is obviously just Streams After Midnight, all the horror movie reviews with me and Timothy. So, in the past week, we got back to the next Friday the 13th movie on Streams After Midnight. Me and Tim started working through those back in October. We had a couple of months there without one, but we got back to the fourth one, the final chapter, which I should actually air quotes, the final chapter. I
was going to say, I assume that's not actually the last one.
No. Not only is it not the last one, I believe the next one was a year later.
Okay, so it's not like they thought it was going to be the last one.
Well, no, that's the thing. And the big Crystal Lake documentary, which is fun. It's like a 7-hour documentary because it goes through the whole series. So it's a fantastic in-depth thing about the whole thing. Highly recommend that. They did a Nightmare on Elm Street one, the same people, called Never Sleep Again, I think it was called. And that was like 4 hours because that's got less movies, so naturally it was a little bit shorter. But still, quite meaty. Anyway, so we did that, the fourth one of that, so you can check out that. Coming up next week for Screams, we have the Patreon pick for the winner last month, which is Audition, the Takeshi Miike film. So you can look forward to that this coming week. Influx this week, obviously the public got Super Mario Brothers, the dreaded 1993 movie. That was a Patreon vote winner as well. Also, for the patrons who get the review a week early, they got Predator, because we're going to start working through Predator once a month, give or take, on the run up to the new one coming out later in the year. So, yes. And that includes the AVP movies, because we did all the Alien movies last year for Alien Covenant. We saved the AVP 1 and 2 to go with the Predator movies, so they'll both had 5 each. And
yeah, nice and even.
Nice and even. So you can check out that for your patron. If not, that's coming next week for everyone else. Also this week, me and Matt did the Tomb Raider review, the new Tomb Raider movie, so you can check out that. And interesting one, that I think it's kind of in a weird middle place where there's a lot of positive points and some negative points. But hey, you can check out what me and Matt thought.
The question is, ultimately, given our conversation right back at the start of this show, do you think it deserves a sequel?
Deserves is an interesting word. I would say I want a sequel.
Okay.
I think there's potential in a sequel.
Yeah, fair enough. It's good enough. And of course, you've got coming up this week, you've got another one with you and Matt, right?
Yeah, Pacific Rim Uprising. In fact, me and you did the first Pacific Rim in Flux a couple of weeks ago. Actually, well, for the public it was last week. Hey, we recorded the review of that in January, so that was like way in advance for us. But Pacific Rim Uprising, which I did see already. I saw that today. So you can get me and Matt's thoughts on that sometime on Sunday, most likely. So that's what's coming up. So that's all the movie reviews that just went up or are coming up that we can tell you about, because we know what they are. Because sometimes we don't know what they are.
No, it's true. I mean, we may have scheduled out a little bit more extensively than usual coming up.
Yeah, because we have such a busy time for TV in April that we realised we weren't going to have time to record in Flux every week during the month. So we're actually recording a few in advance next week to cover that slate.
Yeah.
So the hope is to try and avoid having to skip any weeks, and we should hopefully be able to do that. But at the very least, it's not going to be skipping a full month like it would have done had we not realised we had to schedule ahead.
Right now, worst case seems to be we'll skip 1 week
towards the end of April. But yeah, we'll see.
We're hoping to squeeze in another one somewhere, so we'll cover that gap.
Yeah, so we don't have to skip a week for Influx. But hey, so that's all the updates and shenanigans. So you can look forward to those reviews, but otherwise that is us. So let us know what you thought of the week's news and the comments. And we're still hitting about 2 hours, unfortunately. I thought we were going to be shorter. At least it's not 2 hours and 30 or 40 like it's been sometimes.
No, that's true.
So that's a plus. But that is us. So let us know what you think of the news in the comments. Let us know what you think of the trailers in the comments. Like, subscribe, all your stuff. Get us on Twitter's at mail_fuzz for channel updates. If you want to support the channel, head over to patreon.com/mailfuzztv. You can do that over there. There's a link to that in the description. But otherwise, that's us. So thank you once again for watching. Keep watching movies, guys, and we'll see you next time.